Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Compelling Conversations podcast. Today, I am thrilled to be hosting Hossam. Hossam, thanks so much for being here, man.
Thanks so much for having me. Excited to be on Conversations podcast.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm really honored, so thank you. And where are you joining us from?
I'm from Houston, the best city in the world, and I truly mean that. Right
Yeah,
now, I'm in a college station for one of the events that they have here.
wow. Now that's a shocker to me, but good on you. So I wanted to begin, Hossam, by discussing something that really stood out to me. Um, at Showdown, you recited a poem and you chose to immortalize your pet goat in that poem. Why'd you do that? What was so special about your goat, if you don't mind me asking?
Okay, so for everybody who doesn't know, Showdown is a competition between all of the Muslim Students Associations in Texas. And I competed in a spoken word competition, and I chose to do a poem about my best friend Islam in Egypt. And Islam, it wasn't a goat actually, it was a cow.
Oh,
And Islam came from like a pretty poor family, and they relied on this cow to provide milk for them, to which they can sell. And I just remember, like, to be honest with you, like how much blessing there was in that cow for that family and for Islam and for our friendship. I remember I really like while I was writing the poem, I really wanted to do like kind of like a nostalgic feel. I want to kind of like try to go beyond my boundaries. I'm not really like a big nostalgic writer, but you know, whenever we remember like things that are in our past that really like affected us, had like a little core memory, it really like warms our heart just psychologically. Those little things, you don't really remember the big things so much. Like, I don't remember like nobody remembers graduating elementary school, for example. You know what I'm saying? But they do remember like the small things, like the dishes their moms used to make, the times that they would play with their friends. So one thing I remembered specifically was that cow. Her name was Aziza, and
mm,
yeah, and how sweet her milk tasted, and how much light and blessing she brought to all of us.
wow. That's really cool. Yeah. I remember that was a really killer poem when you recited it. Yeah, it was just riveting, as it were.
Really? I feel like I
Yeah.
get so nervous, like especially like when trying something new. Like in terms of me trying to write like nostalgia poems, I didn't really know how it would come out or whatever like that. But that's the blessing with like any type of like artwork or whatever.
Yeah.
While you're making it, while you're even presenting it, you never know how it's gonna turn out, you know? But then
Yes.
that feeling after, even if nobody like reacts in a certain way, that validation after that you have towards yourself is like is super special.
Yes. Ethan Hawke, he has this saying that it's not up to us whether what we do is any good or not. And he
Hmm.
said, if you look throughout history, the world's a terrible critic. It'll praise things that aren't so praiseworthy, and it might ignore things that perhaps have something to say. So it's an
Yes.
interesting thing to me. Yeah.
That's actually a lot of like a reason I really respect Omar is like um and like this always bewilders me. Like the concept of you just wanting to do something creatively and it seems like nothing will like stop you. You know what I'm saying? And then when you do release that, it's like I sense I don't know, I sense the achievements. I don't even really care about like the reaction per se. You know what I'm saying? But the achievement behind the artwork is incredible. So good on you for that.
Oh, thank you. It's very kind of you to say that, man. I appreciate that. And I'm I'm aware that you're an artist as well. So what does that relationship with art feel like for you? How do you put that into words?
Mm. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the word artist has been kind of um people are really afraid of the word artist. Like people feel like that they are um an artist is like a special category where we all need to like have a like specific permission or like training, you know what I'm to get to like artist level or anything like that. But like I truly feel like there is an artist within all of us. There's creativity is literally part of our like spiritual being, and I think that there's literally no reason for I say this all the time. Every single person, if you're listening to this, every single person has an artist within them, has creativity within them, and it's super healthy for them to unlock that. Imagine going throughout your entire life without being able to unlock a potential of yours. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yes,
something that's
yes.
already within you. You don't need anything like special or whatever. It's already within you. So in terms of like what artistry means to me and what artistry means to my life, it's really like I think we live a lot of our lives, with us. The person that we know best is ourselves, and I think that when you do something that's outside of the box, when you do something where your creativity spawns that, it really makes you feel more alive, and you tend to notice the smaller things in life. You tend to notice the beauty that's around you. You tend to kind of, if you're at 100% in your like self-actualization, art takes you to 110, 120, you know?
Yeah. No, I really like that you said that because there's definitely truth to that. It's like in a way it also builds up your confidence even more. It stacks it up, because you become aware of what you're capable of doing. That potential is unlocked. And it's interesting. I was listening to Jordan Peterson discussing creativity, and he had used these two terms to describe a creative almost side by side, which blew my mind away. I don't even know if he knew what he was saying there. He said creatives are shapeshifters and
Mm,
tricksters, which was insane to me that he used that. And he was using it in the context of like a creative and artist is always changing, right? Moment to moment, hour to hour, day to day. And I can attest to that. I feel like I changed so much.
mhm,
And when he used those two words, shapeshifter and trickster, the first thing that went to my mind were the archetypes of Odin and Loki in Norse
mm.
mythology. The fascinating thing is, Odin is like known to be the shapeshifter, and
Yeah,
Loki is known to be the trickster. But the interesting thing is that they both have the potential of being the other as well. So Odin
two
is
sides
also
of
a
the same
trickster.
coin. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, same side to the same. Yeah, yeah, basically. And I feel like there's really something there, because it's like that dichotomy of chaos and order, and it's like the creative is just always susceptible to change. I think it's really cool.
Exactly. It's like kind of like it's kind of like breaking out of a box, breaking out of a mold, that quote unquote like chaos or that like trickery, you know what I'm saying, leads into like shapeshifting, leads into you changing not only yourselves, changes the people around you, changes your community, changes the world,
Yes.
you know?
Yes, ripple effect, precisely, man. Like I see that. Like, I mean, you get inspired by artists and it's like you might not even know them personally, but something they did had an effect on you and you go out and change the world in your own ways. And
And they
it's
have
like,
no idea,
and they
you
have
know?
no idea, which is
Exactly.
insane, right?
hmm And that level is like within all of us. If you've never like put out art in any way. I don't know. It could be any type of art, you know what I'm saying? But like if you put out art, you will see the effects of how it changes you and the people around you, the ripple effect, just like you were saying.
Yes, yes. It always bewilders me. And I always like I've said it several times now. Like Soren Kierkegaard, he was a Danish theologian, right, who lived in like the 1800s. He wrote a book called The Lily of the Field and the Bird of the Air in 1849. What did he know that that book would inspire a Pakistani American living in Texas almost 200 years later? It's like he would have no idea. You couldn't imagine that, you know? Texas
Literally.
had just formed in that time. You know what I mean?
He's like, what's
So
Texas, bro?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That effect is just insane. And so I wonder, like, Hussam, like for you as an individual, um, in terms of creativity, do you want to be remembered?
Hmm. To be honest, this is how I think of it. I think remembered is a very like because in terms of somebody remembering you, that doesn't really have a big impact on the world. You know what I'm saying? I would actually
Mm,
much rather be not remembered, but my legacy could live on, you know? And that could be through anything, you know? I feel like if and inshallah, like we're able to like all have children one day, but like your children, you are your parents' legacy, you know, in some way. Um, and I think my goal, I kind of think about this as like we're all kind of like strings, um, you know, flowing on the same path of time. And I think that if I can intertwine myself with as much strings as possible, with as much people as possible, if I can try to like make some sort of impact to somebody, you know what I'm saying? Even if it's like one good thing, like if I open the door for somebody and then they open the door for somebody and then make a habit of opening the doors for somebody or whatever, I am part of their legacy now. You know, my legacy lives on through them. Their children who will learn the mannerisms of opening the door for people, you know, that that legacy was through me. And I'm sure like that me opening the door for somebody, that came from somebody. So then I'm now part of their legacy. So I
yes.
think that me being like remembered necessarily isn't really too important to me, but it's the me building a big legacy and kind of intertwining my strings in as many strings as possible to make a nice thick rope. You know, like I think that's truly my goal. What about
Wow.
you?
I
Do you
really
want to be
like that.
remembered?
I just wanted to point out that whole example you said about the strings, it's like it's so galactic. Like I could picture that. It's so cool, man. So appreciate you sharing that. For myself, I think for a long time, yes, and perhaps even still, yes. But um, it's an interesting time in my life, you know, where there's a lot of things that I can't quite articulate, but I can observe, and I don't know, I don't know. It's we were talking to Sheikh Omar yesterday, and we're talking about the concept of being remembered. And he made a good point. And the point is, at the end of the day, everybody does get forgotten. At the end of the day, everybody does. And that's just the truth of it. And
Yeah.
so, again, I'm not too sure how I could articulate my current stance, but I think it's not too far from what you're saying. It's more so about like what you do in the time that you're alive that matters more than, oh, that was someone once upon a time.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot more lasting impact. And I think what you're saying though of like observing, you know what I'm saying? I think that's in itself is actually really powerful. You know, you don't need to nobody needs to have like we're all like learning, we're all like figuring out our destinies, we're all figuring out like um what it means to be us. And I think a lot of people they forget like they forget that like there's so many experiences around them. There's so many people walking by, people talking, and that are just full of rich experiences, you know? And I feel like we
Yes.
don't observe enough, just like you're saying. Like in terms of if somebody could observe every human in history, that guy would be all wise, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talked about figuring out destinies, and I thought that was really interesting that you mentioned. I'm a huge fan of those Pirates of the Caribbean films. Everybody around me doesn't really understand my love for them, but what I really like about Jack Sparrow, and actually I can see Are you familiar with the films, first of all?
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, I know the plots or whatever like that, but now that you're saying I'm gonna watch it. But keep going, keep going. Tell me
Yeah.
why you're so fascinated by these movies.
I really like the character of Jack Sparrow.
Mm,
He comes off like at first he's very aloof, right? And then it
hmm
seems like, oh, like he doesn't really know what he's doing. He's just a drunkard walking around, looking for treasure, but he's actually really intelligent.
Yeah.
That's just his persona. He is a bit bohemian, but he's got, some wisdom in him. And something that happens in the films all the time is his compass, it never points north. It spins around and around, right, in different directions. So anytime somebody gets it and they see it, they're like, your compass is broken, mate. But what's missing there is the symbolism because Jack is following the compass, which is symbolic for his heart. So
hmm
it's always pointing in different directions, but he stays true to the compass.
Mm,
So others perceive like what they're saying is your heart is worthless, mate. When they're saying your compass is broken, they're saying your heart is worthless. But he
yeah.
knows like, no, I'm gonna like stick true to this, whatever it is. And so other people might not understand, but he understands. And it takes him through an adventure in life. So I find that aspect really fascinating about him. And just like that idea of sticking true to your heart. I'm curious, like for yourself, do you feel like you stay true to your heart? Or are there moments where you recognize, hey, I'm kind of betraying what my heart is telling me?
Mm. I mean, to be honest, like I think we've all been in situations or we've all been in parts of our lives where we're kind of not following that compass of our hearts, you know? And just like any type of like no matter how far you go off the path, you know, of your heart, or no matter how much you like, I guess, lie to yourself, or no matter how much you um, try to steer away from what your heart wants. At the end of the day, like your heart is way more powerful than your brain, you know, and you will find your way back to that at the end of the day. Like, you know, tying this into Islam, like the 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 concept of people kind of like losing their Islam or losing their spirituality or losing their taqwa or fear in Allah, you know, it's always followed up by you know, like there's always m millions and millions of chances to like get back on that path, you know, and to truly follow your heart and follow your destiny and follow the religion that will, inshallah, lead you to gardens of paradise. And I think that like, you know, within our lives, it's fine if we don't follow that compass all the time. Of course, we will all want to, I mean, like uh, some of the most enlightened people and some of the most people I really like admire always stick to their compass, you know? But I mean, I think it's okay if we kind of fall off the path sometimes. We'll get back to it. Yeah,
Yeah. It's not about, falling off the horse, it's about getting back on. So,
thanks.
yeah. Going back to that whole observer thing, I
hmm
admire this about you. Like anytime I see you, you are the observer and you are aloof too. And there's not a bad connotation. That's like, I admire that. That when you walk into a room, there's always like that tired smile on your face. But what's so beautiful about it is it's real.
mm
So with the way that you are, like, where do you think that comes from? What is it that makes you you?
mm. So I think I'm gonna be honest with you, like growing up, I feel like I had a so I was growing up, I was always very like this is kind of okay, so growing up like in high school, for example, up until my junior year, I was 5'1". So like and my voice was like really squeaky and I was kind of like really small. So a lot of the times, it would kind of feel like nobody's really like paying attention to me, or nobody's putting any, sort of thought to me whatsoever. So a lot of the times, the only real person I had with me was myself. And I kind of grew this sense of duty towards myself to observe everything around me, to observe how people speak, to observe, um, you know, the patterns of people, and try to find an improvement there, not for me, but for the sake of, my future children, for the sake of my community. Like, it's always been kind of like ingrained in me that my life, like the success of my life, does not matter. At the end of the day, we are gonna be, like you said, we're gonna be forgotten, you know? So the success of my life does not matter. The people, um, that anything that I gain in this life really does not matter. But what I can provide value in, what does define my success is my children, the generation after us. And if we kind of have that mindset that like we should be thinking one generation ahead, you know, like I promise you, the fruits that we bear from the seeds that we bury now will be immense. Will be like the sweetest fruits in history. I think so I was born in Egypt and I lived there for like 10 years. And then I moved here and moved all around America. Um, Ended up in Houston, best city in the world. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
best city in the
it
world.
is. Certainly is.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just again, I felt like I was kind of like powerless in a sense, but I was always thinking when I am able to obtain some sort of power, obtain some sort of influence to change my community, to change the people around me, I have to be ready, you know? I have to observe people. I have to be educated in people. I have to like think of myself not as the not servicing myself necessarily, but servicing Allah, servicing my community. That's what's really
Yes.
important. Yeah.
I that's something I really resonate with. And I
Mm.
do you live your life with a sense of urgency?
Hmm. To be honest, I'm really impatient. Like I know I shouldn't. Like I kind of like want change to happen as soon as possible. But like, that's not really realistic if I'm gonna say like things take time, things take patience. It's very
Oh
important.
yeah. No, they certainly do. What I meant by that is like what the things you were saying kind of remind me of this idea that we all have like a duty
Hmm.
because we live.
Hmm.
And that duty is something along the lines of what you're saying. And so it's like I've been in these shoes before where it's like I would think, oh, I got time to do that or to face that or to try that. But then I've kind of come to a point where it's like, and I'm not perfect, but this point where it's like, I think perhaps I have a duty with what I can do. And there's maybe a sense of urgency in that because you never know when the lights can go off, kind of a thing. So
Like
I'm
what you
curious
can
if,
do right now.
yes, what you can do
Hmm.
right now in this moment, because that's all we have, isn't it?
Of course, bro.
Yeah.
What is it?
Also, yeah.
What is it? Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda. The past you can't do anything about, and the future you can't see into the future, but what we have now is the present. That's why they call it the present, because it's a gift to us.
Yes, I love that. I love that. That's really cool that you mentioned that. And this
Yeah.
brings me to another idea. I heard this girl say this one time at a MSA meeting. She had said something along the lines of mediocrity is forbidden upon the Muslims. When I heard
Hmm.
that, I was like, damn, that's deep. That really hit me hard.
Bro, 100%. Like I feel like we forget that like the golden ages of society, the times where the first university was made, the time where like the most amount of like you know medicine progression with like the most amazing doctors, with the most amazing artists, with the most amazing architects.
Yeah.
That happened through the Muslims. You know what I'm saying? We were like the
Yes.
leaders of this realm. And
Yes.
like I feel um kind of like I I kind of was really mad at this like growing up. Like, why are we as a community like I feel like Muslims when they come here they kind of have like uh, a mentality where it's like I'm just here to survive. I'm just here to make it by. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's like kind of like I mean our parents came from countries that and they came to this country that was foreign to them. So obviously they'd feel a sense of like this is their safe haven, you know? But it's
Yeah.
our responsibility, me and you, our generation, to really take it to the next level. The best filmmakers in the world right now should be Muslim. The best architects in the world right now, the best artists in the world right now, the best doctors, engineers, lawyers, whatever. They should all be Muslims. That's what we should really strive for because it's within us.
Yes.
Yeah. We all have a duty towards that as well. Just like you said, like we can do stuff now. We all have a sense of duty that's obliged on us through our religion. Our religion isn't just, praying and fasting and, making dua. No, our religion requires us to try to change our communities for the better. We all have a duty upon them. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Wow.
Can I ask you a question, Omar?
Yes. Go ahead.
So in the sense of this might be a little bit off topic, but for the sense of um I feel like a lot of us have dreams, a lot of us have passions that we want to pursue. A lot of us have projects kind of like brewing in our minds, but we're so afraid to take that first step. And the fear does not come out of any type of like logic. It's just maybe this like human nature to like not really like want to start stuff. But like truly, truly, when I look at you, like I am bewildered because in the sense of I have so many things that I've been wanting to do. I have so many passions that I've been wanting to pursue. But like it's so difficult for me to just kind of like start. What do you think allows you to do that?
Um, it's a great question, man. It's a great question. And perhaps it'll sound cliche, but I
Mm,
think I'd have to say like a sense of confidence, so to speak.
mm,
And I don't mean that like in an arrogant way, but a sort of like I feel like I have something to say, I have something to show. And
mm,
not in the way of showing off, but in the sense of, wow, I think this is really something that could be of some benefit to someone,
mm,
you know? And so it's like there is always that element of, yes, this is being done for me, but also there is that element of there is sincerity in this, there is truth in this,
mm,
you know? And I think when you stick true to that thing, kind of going back to that idea of the compass, the idea of the creative even, when you stick true to that thing in front of you and you hold on to that and you kind of put it out there, um, it doesn't matter, because there is always that fear of what will people say. But, people are always going to say something, whether it's good or bad, and it's just really like, how much does that thing matter to you?
mm,
And it also goes back to that idea of death, where it's like, well, you're alive right now. You have these things within you right now. It's the baby steps that build things, you know?
mm,
Like as you're aware, I wrote a book. That book, it was almost 2 years ago that the idea first came to me, and I cried a lot because there were times where it's like I had that feeling where I wanted to rush it out there, you know? but I'm glad that it took the time that it took because it's like it taught me something, you
Mm.
know. So I'm not sure if I answered your question precisely, but I think it has something to do with just, there's actually something in Greek. It's kataton daimona itu. I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly, but
That was
essentially what it
perfect.
means, essentially what it means is remain true to your higher self. And I think we
Mm.
all have that higher self, that potential within us. If we
Yeah.
remain true to that, there's something there, I think.
Wow. Yeah. True. We all have that higher self within us. I think sometimes we think that we're not good enough to be at that higher self, but all it takes is mindset. All it takes, like you said, is following that compass, your heart.
Yeah.
Thanks,
I
brother.
know
I
it sounds
really,
corny, but there's truth to that, man.
yo,
There's truth to
everything
that.
that's true is corny. Like,
Really
it's
is.
everything. If it's cliche for a reason, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess also one more thing I could add to that is like there's so many artists that I've been inspired by, in so many
Mm,
different fields. Not even artists, just, like uh theologians, philosophers,
mm,
writers who are artists as well, like people in my own life, friends, family, stuff like that. And it all just kind of comes together, and in a way, it goes back to that ripple effect. They don't even know, but they've kind of done something to you, you know.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. I would if if I want to like say a point kind of like to I feel like I like to leave everything with an action item. Because every fruitful discussion, we should be improving from. I think if you're listening to this, I would really urge you to, and bear with me here, um, I would really urge you to go to a random word generator, click generate. It'll give you a random word, put 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes on a timer, and just write something to that. Write something with the theme of that word. And I promise you, I've done this like exercise with multiple people and like really makes people, just like you said, the confidence in them builds so much. They kind of look at themselves at that point after they've seen what they wrote, you kind of see the passion that's invoked within them. So
Yes.
yeah, I'd like to leave that off as an action item, and I'll do the exact same thing. Would you do the exact same thing, Omar?
I love that. I think I will. I think I will.
Sounds.
Yeah, also going back to all of this, I heard this from an Australian YouTuber, Strutless, and he said, the pain of not doing it hurts more than the pain of doing it.
Mm,
And I was like, damn, that really hit me. That kind of pierced my heart actually, and it kind of steep.
that's actually so true. Because like, if you actually do it, you either met with success or you're met with failure. And if you're met with failure, you're learning from that and you still have that feeling contentment that like I did it, you know?
Yeah. Going
Mm,
on top of that, actually, also, it's like, again, irregardless of the reactions of people, right? It's like you did something true for you. It's like, damn, that matters. Because that was true
yeah,
for you.
yeah.
So like one thing I was thinking about is like, I don't think there's ever a moment where you can, I don't think there's exactly a moment where you can be at peace before death. But in some sense, I'd like to imagine that if you have done the things you wanted to do,
Hmm.
you're at a little more peace to die.
Of
Yeah.
course. I mean, like you said, I mean, we're not supposed to feel entirely at peace in this world. Like that's for the hereafter. That's for the gardens of paradise. That's where we're truly gonna feel at peace. But throughout the way here, we can feel a form of achievement, a form of kind of like relief that we did the things that we want to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's honestly been like a really cool conversation. Like I don't know if there's a thing as digital vibes, but like the energy
I'm
here
getting that right now.
it was very like smooth, it was very calm, and I really I'm genuinely honored to have had you on. And I'm curious, did you have any closing thoughts? anything that you felt like you wanted to express, but you didn't get a chance to, or something on your mind that you
Dude,
wanted to say?
you really inspire me. Keep doing this podcast. Keep making art. For anybody listening, find the artist within you. They're right there. Um, let's try to change our community. Let's try to change the people around us. Let's try to change ourselves, through intention and, just like you said, within doing our passions, and with us following our passions, we become bigger, better people, and we inspire each other through ripple effects. And that's really what, that really gives the vibrancy of life, It makes colors pop out more, makes children playing give you a smile on your face. It makes the world just look a little bit more beautiful. And
Yes.
yeah,
We're all pieces of a mosaic we cannot see. And you inspire me as well. Honestly, a piece of you is somewhere in me. So I
and a
thank you
piece
for
of
that.
you is definitely within me. This mosaic, I hope one day we're able to look upon it because I can't imagine how beautiful, the pain that's in the mosaic, the joy that's in the mosaic, passion that's in the mosaic. I'm really excited to one day be able to see that.
Yeah, inshallah. Yeah. Well, thanks
This
so
was
much,
great.
Sam, for being here, man. Honestly, I appreciate it. And
Thank you so much.
I suppose until next time, huh, my friend?
Until next time, this was really fun. Thank you so much,
Yes,
man. All
for
right.
sure.